I thought my marriage was perfect. My husband Ethan was the love of my life, and Chloe was my best friend. I trusted them more than anyone in this world. But on that night in the pouring rain, I learned that loyalty was just an illusion. The night I saw my husband in my best furry ND's house was a shock that shattered my entire world. Before we dive in, please let me know in the comments which city you're watching this story from. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so the channel can continue to grow and bring you even more compelling stories. That morning began like hundreds of others. The aroma of strong black coffee filled our small but cozy kitchen in our New York City apartment. Olivia, was spreading peanut butter on whole grain toast while my husband Ethan scrolled through the news on his phone at the dining table. Abel, honey, you have that big presentation for the new client today. I hope it all goes smoothly, I said, placing a plate in front of him. Ethan looked up and smiled, a smile that could always melt my heart. He was a charismatic man, known as a rising star at his finance firm, handsome and silver-tongued. At home, he was the attentive and reliable husband I trusted implicitly. Of course, it will, Liv. Just wish me luck. This is a huge project. If this lands, we can finally get that down payment for our dream condo, he replied, his eyes shining. The dream condo, yes, that had been our goal for the last 3 years. We both worked tirelessly, me as a freelance graphic designer, and Ethan as a financial manager. We saved every dollar, dreaming of a small condo in Brooklyn with a balcony where we could grow sunflowers. I sent the revised designs to my client last night. I think they loved them. I'm thinking of meeting up with Chloe later today to brainstorm some new ideas, I said. Ethan nodded. Tell Chloe I said hi. How is she? She hasn't called in the mornings lately. Chloe wasn't just a friend to me. She was like a sister. We had been inseparable since college. She knew all my secrets, and I knew all of hers. She was the first person I called when Ethan proposed. Chloe was the one with whom I shared everything. Ironically, she was also very close with and I always thought how lucky I was to have a husband and a best friend who got along so well. Probably just swamped. She has a ton of projects at her event planning agency right now, I replied casually. We finished breakfast, chatting about a movie we watched last night, and our plans for the weekend. Everything seemed normal, perfect. A week later, Ethan came home with incredible news. Liv, they picked me for the presentation in Seattle, he shouted excitedly, barely stepping through the door. I was tidying up my home office, and rushed to hug him. Wow, really? Congratulations, honey. You've wanted this for so long. Yeah, it's all so sudden. I fly out next week for a whole week, but this is a golden opportunity, he said. His face seemed a little tense, which I attributed to the pressure of the big presentation. That's okay. It's just a week. I can handle things here. The most important thing is for you to focus. This is for our dream condo, too, I said, trying to be supportive. Throughout the week of preparation, Ethan seemed a little different. He was on his phone more often. When I asked, he said he was coordinating intensely with the team in Seattle. It sounded logical. He also started staying later at the office. Ori, honey, this prep is taking up all my time. I have to get a ton of documents ready before I leave, he said one evening, returning home close to midnight. Relax, I get it, I replied. I even made him a hot ginger tea, and gave him a shoulder massage. I was a supportive wife. At least that's what I always tried to be. The day of his departure arrived. I drove Ethan to the airport. In the car, he held my hand tightly. Take care of yourself, Liv. Don't overwork and remember to lock the doors. You too. Don't forget to eat. Text me when you land, I said. We shared a long hug in front of the departures terminal. He kissed my forehead. I love you, Olivia. I love you more, Ethan. I watched him walk away, pulling his suitcase until he disappeared through the security checkpoint. I felt the natural sadness of parting, but also a sense of pride. My husband was going places. The first day, he called from SeaTac Airport. Landed, honey. It's beautiful here. Heading straight to the hotel. Big meeting tomorrow morning. The second day, he sent a short text. Super busy. Meetings, all day. Looks like I'll be up all night prepping materials. Well, I'll call tomorrow. Love you. I replied, okay, good luck. Love you too. I was busy with my own work. I tried calling Chloe a few times, but she also sounded incredibly busy. Liv, it's insane. This client is just impossible. I'm so stressed, she said over the phone. Hang in there. Maybe we can grab coffee. Oh, let's not do it now. Deadlines are killing me. How about we all go out somewhere when Ethan gets back? Okay, good luck. The third day, that was the day everything changed. In the morning, my older sister Jessica called from Hartford, Connecticut, where our mom lived. Olivia, Mom's had a high fever since last night. She's delirious. Can you come? I'm panicking. Without a second thought, I grabbed my car keys. Yes, Jess, I'm on my way now. The drive to my mom's house took about 3 hours. I was worried the whole way, trying to call Ethan, but his phone was off. He's probably in an important meeting, I thought. I sent him a text, Oni, I had to drive to mom's. She's sick. I'll update you later. Your phone is off. When I got to my mom's, I saw she did have a high fever. But after I gave her some fever reducer and a cold compress, she started to feel better. It seemed to be just a bad flu. I took care of her all day. My sister had her kids to look after, so I stayed by my mom's bedside. Around 9 p.m., I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Her fever had broken, and she was sleeping soundly. Stay the night, Olivia. It's late. It's dangerous to drive alone, my sister said. It's okay, Jess. I have a client meeting tomorrow morning. I'll drive slow. The main thing is Mom is better. I declined. I needed to get back home to the empty house. I don't know why, but I just wanted to sleep in my own bed. At 10:30 p.m., I said my goodbyes and started the drive back to New York City. The highway was fairly clear. I turned up the music to keep myself awake. About an hour from home, the small tragedy struck. Suddenly, the rain started pouring so hard my wipers couldn't keep up. I slowed down, and at that exact moment, the car started to jerk. Oh no! The check engine light flashed yellow, then red. The car shook violently, and then the engine died completely. No, not now. I panicked. I managed to pull over to the shoulder, but it was a desolate stretch of highway. The rain was coming down in sheets. I tried to start the car again. Useless, completely dead. I grabbed my phone, 15% battery. Damn it. I tried calling my usual tow service, but the signal was cutting in and out. I looked around, darkness, with only the occasional car whizzing past, and then I realized where I was. The next exit on the highway led to an upscale gated community in Westchester County, the one where Chloe lived. It couldn't be more than a mile away. My mind raced. Wait for a tow truck in a broken down car in a torrential downpour, or walk to Chloe's house. The second option seemed much safer and more sensible. I just needed to charge my phone, call a tow truck from there, and maybe have a cup of hot tea while I waited. Okay, Chloe, I muttered. I grabbed my purse, locked the car, and took a deep breath. I opened the door and ran into the storm. The rain felt like needles on my skin. In 30 seconds, I was soaked to the bone. My thin dress clung to my body. I was freezing. I ran along the shoulder of the highway, toward the exit. Luckily, there was a security post at the entrance to the community. I explained the situation and they let me pass. Chloe's neighborhood was completely empty. 11 p.m., a storm. Of course, it was empty. I was shivering violently, my teeth chattering. I ran through the flooded streets of the community, focused on one thing, Chloe's cozy house, where my friend was. Finally, I reached her home. The modern minimalist house seemed dark. Only a dim light on the patio was on. I hope she's home, I thought. Her white car was in the driveway. Thank God, she was definitely home. Maybe she was already asleep. I pressed the doorbell twice. No answer. I was freezing. I was desperate. I started knocking on the door. Chloe, it's me, Olivia. Please open up. My car broke down. I yelled with all my might, trying to be heard over the roar of the rain. For a moment, there was silence. Then I heard footsteps inside, slowly, very slowly. I heard the lock turn. Click. The door opened about a foot. In the dark sliver of the opening, I couldn't see who opened it, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get inside and get warm. Chloe, oh my God, thank you. I pushed the door to open it wider and stepped from the rainy street onto the dry floor. And in that moment, I froze. Standing before me in the semi-darkness of Chloe's living room was a man. He was shirtless, wearing only a pair of plaid cotton pajama pants I knew so well. Pants I had bought him 3 months ago. His hair was tousled, his eyes wide with a shock that mirrored my own. The world seemed to stop. The sound of the rain outside suddenly vanished. All I could hear was the beat of my own heart, which first stopped and then started pounding so hard it hurt. Ethan. My voice came out as a choked whisper. It was my husband, Ethan, who was supposed to be thousands of miles away in Seattle, preparing for a major presentation. He was standing here in my best friend's house at 11 p.m., half naked. My brain couldn't process it. This was some kind of mistake. It had to be a dream, a nightmare brought on by exhaustion and cold. Olivia, his voice was panicked. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? I echoed, my voice beginning to tremble. You're supposed to be in Seattle? Ethan looked flustered. He took a step back. My flight got cancelled. I came back early. He couldn't finish his sentence because right behind him, at the top of the stairs leading to the second floor, someone appeared. A woman. She was leaning on the railing, staring down at me with eyes wide with horror. It was Chloe, my best friend. And she was wearing nothing but a thin crimson fabric, a sheer, sexy negligee. I remembered it from a few weeks ago. She had shown it to me on her phone. Insane, right, Liv, so beautiful, but so expensive. Who would ever buy this for me? She had said then, laughing. Now, she was wearing it in front of my husband in her house, in the middle of the night. The cold I felt from the rain was nothing compared to the chill that shot through my bones in that moment, a cold that came from within. Chloe, I shifted my gaze from a stunned Ethan to the trembling Chloe on the stairs. Everything clicked into place. Ethan's turned off phone, his frequent late nights at work, Chloe's sudden unavailability. Oh my God, Olivia. Liv, it's not what you think. Chloe started to cry. She ran down the stairs, trying to cover her body with her hands. I swear, Liv, this is... She stopped next to Ethan, tugging at his arm. Ethan, explain. My eyes snapped back to Ethan. His face, which had been panicked, was now changing. His expression hardened. He looked at me, not with guilt, but with a cold stare, as if I were an inconvenience. Ethan took a deep breath. He pushed Chloe's hand away. Stop it, Chloe. There's no point in lying anymore. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. Don't say it. Ethan looked me straight in the eye, my wet, tear-filled eyes. He looked at his wife, shivering from the cold on his doorstep. We eloped, Olivia. One sentence. That one sentence destroyed my world in an instant, faster than the lightning that flashed outside. 6 months ago. 6 months. I mentally counted back. 6 months ago was our third wedding anniversary, the day Ethan gave me a diamond necklace, and promised to love me forever. For the last 6 months, every touch from him had been a lie. Every kiss, a betrayal. Every, I love you, a poison. And Chloe, my best friend, whom I had cried to when I felt Ethan was growing distant. You knew. I asked Chloe, my voice barely a whisper. You knew he was acting strange, Chloe. I told you. Chloe just sobbed. She couldn't look at me. Olivia, listen. Ethan tried to take a step toward me. Don't touch me. I screamed. Finally, I screamed. I stumbled back onto the patio, back into the rain. 6 months. I shook my head, the tears finally flowing, mixing with the rain on my face. Both of you, behind my back. Olivia, it wasn't just Chloe's fault. It just happened, Ethan said, trying to justify it. It just happened. I laughed, a sound that was both insane and agonizing. You eloped? That doesn't just happen. That is planned. The pain was so intense. It was hard to breathe, like I'd been punched in the gut. I looked at the two of them, my half-naked husband, my best friend in a negligee, the two people I trusted most in the world. They had destroyed me. Olivia, wait. It's raining outside. Ethan yelled as I turned around. I didn't care. I would rather freeze to death on the street than stand for one more second in this damned house. I ran away from that house, ran with no destination. I just ran through the storm, which raged as fiercely as the storm in my heart. I no longer heard the shouts of Ethan or Chloe. I could only hear my own sobs, the sobs of a betrayed wife, the sobs of a friend who had been stabbed in the back. I ran until my legs gave out. I collapsed to my knees on a flooded sidewalk several blocks from that house. I was alone, soaked to the bone, and completely, utterly broken. On that night, in the pouring rain, the Olivia I knew died. I don't know how long I sat on that sidewalk, an hour, maybe 2. The rain began to subside, replaced by a cold, penetrating drizzle. My wet clothes made me shiver to the bone. But the cold outside was nothing compared to the emptiness within. Shock, that was the right word. My brain felt frozen, refusing to process the image I had just seen. Ethan in his pajama pants and Chloe, my best friend, in her red negligee. We eloped 6 months ago. The words kept replaying in my ears like a broken record. 6 months, half a year. I replayed the last 6 months in my mind, the time Ethan suddenly gave me an expensive necklace, a bonus from a project, he'd said. Was it guilt money? I remembered Chloe going to a salon with me, listening to my complaints about how Ethan was working late a lot and seemed a bit distant. Oh, Liv, he's a career man, she'd said with a reassuring smile. You need to be patient. Ethan is the perfect husband, she had reassured me, she who at that very moment had probably just slept with my husband. Nausea rose in my throat. I leaned over and retched into a storm drain. Only stomach acid came out. My stomach was empty, just as empty as my heart. I couldn't stay here. I had to go. But where? I couldn't go back home. That house now felt like a crime scene, a house full of lies. Every corner would remind me of him. I couldn't go to my mom's. I didn't want her to see me so broken, not after she had just been sick. And then I remembered my car. My car was still broken down on the side of the highway. Summoning the last of my strength, I forced my trembling legs to stand. I walked with difficulty, shuffling back toward the highway exit. I didn't care about the car anymore. I walked past it, heading for the main road. On the other side, I saw a flickering, cheap neon sign, Econo Lodge Motel. An anonymous place with no memories. I crossed the road without looking. The blare of a truck horn snapped me out of my stupor, but I didn't care. The motel clerk, a sleepy young man, gave me a strange look. I must have looked like a mad woman, soaked to the bone, with swollen red eyes, a pale face, and no luggage. One room, one night, I said, my voice hoarse. ID, he asked lazily. I fumbled in my purse. My hands were shaking so much I could barely open the zipper. I pulled out my wallet and handed him my driver's license. I always kept some emergency cash in my wallet. I placed a few $20 bills on the counter. The clerk took the money and my ID, made a copy, and handed me a key to room 207 on the second floor. Just keep it down. I took the key without a word. Room 207 smelled of dampness and cigarette smoke. The paint was peeling in places, but I didn't care. It had a door and a lock. I went in, locked the door, and slid the chain lock. I leaned my back against the door and slid to the floor. And there, in that dingy, cheap motel room, I finally let myself fall apart. I cried, not with quiet tears, but with howls. I beat my chest, which felt like it was about to explode from the pain. A pain so physical, so real, it felt like someone was ripping my heart out of my chest with their bare hands. Every breath was agony. Why? What did I do wrong? I replayed all my memories. I was a good wife. I worked. I took care of the house. I supported his career. I never asked for much. I just wanted to be loved. Why, Chloe, my own friend, the person who knew all my vulnerabilities. Images of the two of them flashed in my mind. Ethan kissing her, Ethan holding her in our bed. I screamed into the thin pillow on the bed, screamed until my throat was raw. My phone in my purse vibrated. I ignored it. It kept vibrating again and again. With the last of my energy, I pulled it out. The screen was cracked. I must have dropped it when I was running. The battery was at 2%, but the screen was full of notifications, 20 missed calls from E.T. Hun, 15 missed calls from Chloe, and dozens of texts from Ethan. Liv, where are you? Don't be crazy. Let's talk. From Chloe, this is all a mistake. I can explain. From Ethan, come back right now. From Ethan, Liv, please. It's a misunderstanding. I can explain everything. Pick up the phone. From Ethan, Olivia, I'm panicking. Where are you? It's raining. I'm looking for you. A misunderstanding. I whispered to the phone screen. What was there to explain? How my husband ended up at my best friend's house at 11 p.m. Explain the negligee Chloe was wearing. Explain the confession about eloping. They thought I was a fool. They thought I would cry, then forgive them, and we could go on as before. Anger, like a small flame suddenly doused in gasoline, exploded inside me. A cold, thick anger. The sadness was still there, but now it was wrapped in a towering rage. They didn't just betray me. They planned it. They lied to me, every day for 6 months. They laughed behind my back. My phone vibrated again. The name Ethan appeared on the screen. Before I could think, my finger hit the power off button. The screen went black. Silence, only the noisy air conditioner. I stood up. I went into the bathroom. I looked in the grimy mirror. The woman in the mirror was pathetic. Eyes swollen, mascara streaked down her cheeks, hair plastered to her face. That wasn't me. I turned on the shower, hot as I could stand. I stood under the water, still in my wet clothes. I scrubbed my skin with all my might as if I could wash away Ethan's touch, wash away clothes, fake hugs. I tore off my wet clothes and threw them in a corner. I kept scrubbing until my skin was red and sore. After some time, I turned off the water. I looked in the mirror again. The steam began to clear. My eyes were still red, but my gaze was different. The look of devastation had been replaced by something else, something harder, sharper. They took everything from me, I whispered to my reflection. They took my marriage, my friend, my money, and my dignity. I will take more from them. I will not be a victim. I will not let them get away with this. That night, I slept on a bed that smelled of dampness. I didn't dream. I woke the next morning to sunlight piercing through the unclosed curtains. It was already day. My body was stiff and sore. For a moment, I didn't know where I was, and then it all came back. The events of the previous night hit me like a freight train. The pain returned, but the anger from last night was still there, now forming my foundation. I had to act. The first thing I did was buy a cheap phone charger from the motel's front desk. I went back to my room and plugged in my phone. When I turned it on, the notifications poured in again, dozens, hundreds, from Ethan, Chloe, and now from my sister Jessica. Olivia, where are you? Ethan called me this morning. He's frantic, looking for you. You didn't come home. Did something happen? I ignored her. I couldn't talk to anyone right now. I needed a plan. First, money. Second, a lawyer. Third, proof. I turned off my old phone again. I wouldn't use it, they could track me. I took a shower and put on my semi-dry clothes from the night before. They didn't smell great, but I had no choice. I checked out of the motel. My first stop was a cell phone store. I walked to a small strip mall near the motel. I need the cheapest phone you have and a new SIM card. The clerk sold me a basic smartphone for a couple $100 and a new prepaid SIM. I paid with the rest of my emergency cash. I activated the new phone in a diner while ordering breakfast, pancakes and hot tea. It was my first meal in almost 24 hours. It tasted like cardboard. I couldn't use my old contacts. Ethan had surely called everyone by now. I opened the browser on my new, slow phone. I typed, Best Divorce Lawyer NYC Asset Division. Several names came up, but one name was repeatedly mentioned on legal forums, Evelyn Reed. The reviews were all the same, expensive, but meticulous, ruthless, a specialist in infidelity and hidden asset cases. I liked those words, ruthless. I wrote down her office number. Before calling, I needed to check my finances. I went to an ATM of a bank that wasn't our joint one. I needed to check my personal salary account. I had always insisted on having one separate account that Ethan didn't know about, just in case. I used to say. Ethan would always laugh. In case of what? We're a team. Thank God I was stubborn. I inserted my card. The balance appeared on the screen, enough for a lawyer's retainer, and to live on for a few weeks. I withdrew a large sum in cash, enough for the initial consultation. I went back to the diner. With a hand that trembled a little less, I called the law office of Evelyn Reed. I'd like to make an appointment with Miss Reed. It's urgent, an emergency. The secretary said Miss Reed was booked solid. Tell her it's a case of a husband's infidelity with the best friend. They eloped in secret. There's fraud involving a business trip and embezzlement of funds from a joint account. I said in a flat, cold voice. There was a pause on the line. Can you come in today at 3 p.m.? The secretary said, her tone changed. I'll be there. Miss Reed's office was in a skyscraper in Midtown, a stark contrast to the cheap motel where I had spent the night. Everything was gray, cold, and professional. Evelyn Reed was a woman in her 50s with her hair in a neat bun and expensive glasses. She looked at me piercingly from behind her enormous desk. So, Miss Miller, she said as I sat down. Tell me everything. Omit nothing, no emotion. I need facts. I took a breath. I told her everything, from Ethan's preparation for his business trip, to my broken down car, to the scene at closed door. I quoted Ethan's words, we eloped 6 months ago. I told the story flatly, without tears, as if it were someone else's story. Evelyn Reed listened attentively, only occasionally nodding. Excellent, she said when I finished. A verbal confession of a secret marriage is the perfect proof of infidelity, better than a photo of a kiss. What do I do now? I asked. First, Miss Reed said, tapping a pen on her desk, you do not contact them. You do not answer their messages. You do not pick up the phone. Consider them dead. From now on, you communicate only through me. I nodded. Second, we need financial proof. You said you had a joint account for the condo. Yes, I have access to the mobile banking app. Excellent. Do not do anything with that account for now. Don't transfer any money. A court might see that as acting in bad faith. We will use it as a trap. A trap. Yes. Now, I need you to hire someone, a private investigator. I have a contact. Evelyn Reed wrote a name and number on a piece of paper. Frank Miller. He's expensive, but he's the best. She repeated what I had read on the forum. Ask him to do two things. First, prove that Ethan never flew to Seattle. Track him. Second, trace all cash flows from your husband to Chloe for the last 6 months. I understand. I said, my retainer is this much. She wrote a large figure on another piece of paper. I took out the envelope with the cash I had withdrawn earlier, and placed it on her desk. Evelyn Reed glanced at the stack of money, then at me. A faint smile touched her lips. You're a fast learner, Olivia. I like that. This is going to be a war, and we will win. I left her office with a strange feeling. I was broke. I had no home, no husband. But for the first time since last night, I felt powerful. I immediately called Frank Miller, the investigator. We met in a coffee shop in the building's lobby. He was a nondescript middle-aged man who looked like an ordinary office worker. I gave him all the details, photos of Ethan and Chloe, the address of Chloe's condo, their car models, and the details of Ethan's fake business trip. And this, I said, giving him our joint account number. Please track where this money went. It will be done, he replied. I'll get back to you in 2 days. He took his fee from me, and disappeared into the crowd. That night, I didn't go back to the Econo Lodge. With the remaining money, I rented a clean room for the night in a neighborhood far from my home. I needed to be frugal. This war was going to be long. In the small rental room, I opened my old laptop, which thankfully I always carried in my work bag. I connected to the slow public Wi-Fi. I logged into the mobile banking app for our joint account. My hands trembled when I saw the balance, far less than it should have been. There's hold have been nearly $250,000. Now there was less than $50,000. My heart pounded. I opened the transaction history for the last 6 months. My eyes were glued to the screen. Transfers of tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to an account in the name of Chloe Davis. Payment descriptions, advance for project. Another transfer, payment to suppliers. Another one, full payment for automobile. I remembered Chloe bragging about her new car 3 months ago. Thank God, Liv, the result of hard work, she had said. My hard work, the money from our savings for our dream condo. Then there were regular monthly transfers to an unknown account, probably paying for something. Then purchases of expensive items, a designer bag I had seen Chloe with, jewelry, and the most painful, a large cash withdrawal the day before Ethan's departure for Seattle. He had emptied our account to have fun with his new wife while I was at home, praying for his success in Seattle. A feeling of disgust filled me. This wasn't just infidelity. This was theft. This was a planned conspiracy to rob me. 2 days later, Frank Miller called my new phone. Good afternoon, Olivia. I have a report. What are the results? I asked, my heart pounding. Your husband never left the state? He is not on the passenger list of any flight to Seattle this week. I closed my eyes. I knew it. I tracked him. The first 2 days of his business trip, he was staying in a luxury hotel in downtown Manhattan alone, probably to create an alibi. But from the 3rd day, the night you caught him, he moved in and has been living at Chloe Davis' condo continuously. And here's what's interesting, the investigator continued. He mortgage for the upscale condo in the name of Chloe Davis, which you said she was renting for an office, was paid off 3 months ago in a single payment. The source of the funds was a personal account in Ethan's name. He used not only our joint money, but also his personal funds for Chloe. And one more thing, Frank Miller's voice sounded hesitant. What is it? The marriage certificate. I managed to get a photo of it through my contacts. They got married in a small town upstate. When? I asked quietly. 6 months ago, May the 15th. I fell silent. May the 15th. That was the day after our 3rd wedding anniversary. The day after our romantic dinner. The day after Ethan gave me the necklace and promised to always be faithful. The next day, he left, saying he had an urgent client meeting. It turned out he left to Rai, my best friend. The phone almost slipped from my hand. The pain I thought I had numbed returned, sharper, deeper. This was no longer a war. This was an extermination. I called Evelyn Reed. Miss Reed, I have everything. Proof of the fake business trip, proof of the money trail, and the exact date of their marriage. Excellent, Olivia. Miss Reed's voice sounded satisfied. Oh, we launch the first attack. We freeze the joint account and send them our first love letter. I'm ready. The girl who cried on the sidewalk was dead. What was left was a woman with nothing left to lose. And a woman like that is very dangerous. After the call from Frank Miller, I couldn't sit still. May the 15th, the day after our anniversary. He celebrated with me, and the next day, he went and tied the knot with my friend. The pain I thought was numb yesterday was just dormant. Now it was awake, wilder, and thirsting for revenge. I immediately called Evelyn Reed on my new phone. And Miss Reed, I said in a level voice, hiding the storm inside. I just got confirmation. They got married on May the 15th, the day after our anniversary. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Miss Reed, usually so stern, seemed to sigh. That's despicable. You have my sympathy, Olivia. I don't need sympathy. I need action, I said. I also checked the joint account. Out of $250,000, less than $50,000 is left. He drained it, transferred it to Chloe's account, bought her a car, paid off the mortgage on her condo. That son of a bitch, Miss Reed swore. It was the first time I had heard her speak informally. Our plan is changing. We can't wait. We need to act fast. What do I do? Transfer the remaining money right now, she ordered. Transfer it to your personal account, the one he doesn't know about. In court, we will argue that you were saving the remaining joint assets from a husband who was clearly acting in bad faith and had already misappropriated over $200,000. Won't that look bad for me? What's worse, losing another $50,000 or looking like you're trying to salvage the remains? I'll handle it in court. Just do it now. The call ended. I sat on the creaky wooden chair in my rental room. I opened my old laptop, logged into the joint account's mobile banking. My hands were shaking. $50,000, the remnants of our dream, the remnants of our condo savings. I looked at the transaction history again. All payment for automobile, advance for project. Chloe Davis' name appeared again and again. She hadn't just stolen my husband, she had robbed me of my future. Holding my breath, I entered my personal account number. I typed the amount, $50,000. I paused for a moment. This was the last of the money, the line in the sand I was drawing. I remembered Ethan's laugh when we opened this account. This is our home account, honey, he had said. Liar. My finger pressed the confirm button. The screen asked for a code from a text message. I entered it. Click. Transaction successful. Joint account balance, $0. I closed my eyes, feeling a slight sense of relief, but the bitterness was stronger. This wasn't a victory, it was a pathetic attempt to save what was left of the ruins. Next step, credit cards. I remembered something. Ethan had a supplementary credit card linked to my account. I had set it up long ago for emergencies, in case something happened to his primary card while traveling. He rarely used it, but it was in his wallet. I immediately called the bank's customer service. After a tortuous journey through the automated menu, I finally got through to an operator. Good afternoon. This is Olivia Miller. I'd like to block my supplementary credit card. Yes, of course. Can you give me the supplementary card number? I don't remember it by heart, but it's in the name of Ethan Miller, I said. Okay. May I ask the reason for blocking it? Is it lost or? I paused, then replied in the coldest voice I could muster. Stolen. Oh, okay. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We will block it immediately and permanently. The card in the name of Ethan Miller has been deactivated as of this second. Can I help you with anything else? Yes, I also have a joint account with your bank. The credit cards linked to that account are in the names of Ethan and Olivia Miller. Please block the card in Ethan's name immediately as well. Yes, of course. It's all been processed. Thank you. I hung up. The first and second financial taps were turned off. I sat in silence. What would happen now? They were probably having a great time on the remaining $200,000 plus they'd taken. But with Chloe's luxurious lifestyle and Ethan now effectively unemployed, thanks to his fake business trip, that money would run out fast. They would realize it sooner or later. I decided to move out of that nightly rental room. I needed something more stable, even if it was cheap. I spent the rest of the day searching online and found a small garden apartment behind an elderly woman's house in a narrow alley, far from the neighborhoods I usually frequented. The price was low, I contacted her immediately and arranged to move in the next day. I needed to save the remaining money in my personal account. That night, I tried to work. I opened my design files, but my mind was blank. I just stared at the screen. My new phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number. Liv, it's Jessica. My God, where have you disappeared to? Ethan just called me again, crying. He said your joint account was hacked. All the money is gone. He's frantic. Olivia, he thinks you've been kidnapped or robbed. He asked for your new number. Honestly, I felt sorry for him, so I gave it to him. I'm sorry, sis. Please just sort things out peacefully. Talk to him. My blood boiled. Hacked. He dared to say hacked. He dared to call my sister, cry, and play the part of the worried husband. Jessica, she didn't know anything, but the feeling of betrayal from my own family, even if unintentional, added to the pain. Before I could reply to my sister, my phone rang loudly, another unknown number. I knew it was him. I watched the screen ring. 1, 2, 3. I let it go to voicemail. It immediately rang again, more insistently. This time, I took a deep breath, pressed the green button, and put it on speaker. I said nothing. Hello? Hello, Olivia? Olivia. It was his voice, but not the smooth, charismatic one I knew. This was panicked, rough, full of anger. Olivia, is that you? Yes. Where the hell are you? I remained silent. Olivia, answer me. What have you done? The money from the joint account is gone. It's empty. Did you take it? Yes. I finally spoke. My own voice sounded foreign, calm, cold. Dad? It's not gone, Ethan. It's secured. There was a choked gasp on the other end. Secured? What do you mean secured? You have no right. That's our money. Give it back. Our money. I laughed quietly, a laugh with no humor. Our money is the $50,000 that was left. What about the other $200,000 plus? Was that our money too? Dead silence. He was shocked. He didn't expect me to know. What? What do you mean? His voice trembled with nervousness. I'm asking you, Ethan. The $200,000 plus that you transferred to Chloe Davis' account for project advances, all payment for an automobile, to pay off a mortgage. Was that our money too? Olivia, how did you find out? I know everything. I interrupted. I know about your fake business trip to Seattle. I know you were hiding out in a luxury hotel in Manhattan. I know you're living in Chloe's condo. He fell silent again. And I know, I continued, my voice trembling slightly with suppressed rage, that you, too, eloped on May the 15th, the day after our anniversary. I heard a thud on the other end, as if his phone had dropped, then a panicked voice, Oni, she knows. She knows everything. It was Chloe's voice. So they were together, listening to me on speakerphone. The disgusting pair. Ethan spoke again, his voice desperate. Olivia, listen. I can explain everything. Chloe borrowed that money for her business. She'll pay it back. Don't take me for a fool, Ethan, I said. I don't need your explanations. The $50,000 is safe with me. It will be part of the calculations in the asset division. Asset division. His voice cracked. You want a divorce. I don't want a divorce, I said. I am in the process of getting a divorce. I'll be served next week. From now on, don't call me. Call my lawyer. A lawyer? He screamed, his voice breaking. You hired a lawyer. Damn you, Olivia. Are you trying to destroy me? Give back the money. I need that money now. I need that money. So that was it. He was out of cash. The $200,000 plus had probably already been spent on their lavish lifestyle. Enjoy the rest of your life, Ethan. Click. I hung up and blocked his number. A few seconds later, a text came from another number. Close, Shirley. Olivia, please don't do this. Ethan's not himself right now. We really need that money. It's my fault, Olivia. I admit it. I'm guilty. I can pay you back in installments. I promise. But please return the money from the account first. We have no safety net. Pay me back in installments. What did she take me for? A credit union? I stared at the message for a long time. We have no safety net. Perfect. I typed a short reply. Talk to my lawyer. Then I blocked her number, too. I put the phone down. My hands were shaking violently, but I was smiling. The first attack was a success. They were panicked, they were broke, and I had just cut off their supply line. After cutting off their financial access, I moved into the small garden apartment I had found. The place was cramped but clean. Most importantly, no one knew I was there, I gave my new address only to Evelyn Reed. For a few days, I tried to get my life in order. I contacted a few old clients, told them I had moved, and was ready to take on projects again. I needed money. The funds in my personal account wouldn't last long, especially with the lawyer's fees. But one thing wouldn't leave me alone: Ethan's career. He had built such a perfect image at his company, a family man, a brilliant young executive, honest and principled. Principled. The word seemed like a bitter joke. He, a senior financial manager, had committed fraud. That fake business trip wasn't just a lie to me, it was a lie to his company. He had almost certainly filed for reimbursement of travel expenses. He had lied to his boss, his team, and used company resources to cover up his affair. Should I stay silent? Let him continue to deceive others, to live comfortably on his large salary, after divorcing me while I started from scratch? The sense of justice inside me screamed. This was no longer just personal revenge, it was a matter of truth. He had to answer for his actions. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't use my laptop or the Wi-Fi at the apartment. I went to an internet cafe in a distant neighborhood, dim, full of kids playing online games. Perfect. I paid for an hour and chose a computer in the farthest corner. First, I created a new anonymous email address, JusticeGuardian88. But I didn't care. Then, I opened Ethan's company website. I found the Contact Us page, several addresses, info@company.com, press@company.com, corporate@company.com. I also checked the About Us page, which had photos of the board of directors and executive team. I wouldn't just send this to HR, I would send it to everyone: HR, the corporate secretary, and I guessed the email format for the directors, usually first name last name @company.com. I drafted the email. Subject: urgent information, allegation of serious breach of ethics and fraud by senior financial manager Ethan Miller. I wrote it in a formal, professional tone. Body T. Oh, the board of directors, executive team, and human resources department of, company name. With respect, I used we to make it sound like a group, are a party concerned with the reputation of, company name. We wish to report an alleged gross violation of the Code of Ethics and potential fraud, committed by one of your senior managers, Ethan Miller. 1. Fraudulent business trip. Mr. Miller applied for and received approval for a business trip to Seattle from start date to end date. This trip was fictitious. The data was falsified. The individual in question never left the New York metropolitan area. In reality, during this period, he was in New York for personal, highly unethical matters. 2. Breach of integrity for a senior manager in the financial sector. Falsifying a business trip is a form of fraud against the company, which undermines the image and principles that company name has always upheld. As initial evidence, we are attaching a report from an independent investigation confirming the absence of Ethan Miller's name on passenger lists for flights to Seattle on the specified dates, as well as security camera footage showing Mr. Miller checking into a luxury hotel in Manhattan on the day he was supposed to be in Seattle. We have also attached proof of a secret marriage that took place. W. Hitch became the motive for the business trip fraud, used to conceal his absence. We trust that the company will take this report seriously and conduct an internal investigation. The integrity of a financial employee is the foundation of the company. I reread the email several times. Clear, to the point, deadly. I attached the files prepared by Frank Miller, the PDF report with passenger lists, security camera photos with red circles and timestamps, and a blurry but legible photo of their marriage certificate. My finger hovered over the send button. This was the point of no return. Blocking his accounts was one thing, a war between a husband and wife. This was an execution. I was about to kill his career, his source of income, his reputation, the man I had once chosen to spend the rest of my life with. I remembered my tears in the cheap motel room, his cold expression when he said, "We eloped," my missing $200,000. I hit send. The email was gone. I immediately deleted the draft, cleared my browser history, deleted the email from the sent folder, and logged out. I shut down the computer, paid for my time, and walked outside. The night air was cold, but I felt calm. GHT had been lifted. I had done what I had to do. The rest was up to the universe. The next 3 days were the most tense of my life. I forced myself to work, finished 2 logo design projects, cooked instant noodles in my tiny apartment, tried to live a normal life. But every few hours, I would go to a different public library to use their free Wi-Fi and check my anonymous email. No replies. Of course, they wouldn't reply to an anonymous email. I started to worry. What if my email went to spam? What if they didn't take it seriously? I checked Ethan's LinkedIn profile. It was still there, Senior Finance Manager. I began to despair. Then, on the 4th day, my new phone rang, an unknown number. I was wary. Ethan and Chloe's numbers were blocked. Hello? I answered cautiously. Hello, Olivia. Is that you? I recognized the voice. Dennis, one of Ethan's colleagues. His wife and I had dinner at our place once. Dennis, oh my God. Hi, how are you? This is a surprise. I immediately slipped into my, I know nothing, mode. Oh, Olivia, my God, where are you? Are you okay? Dennis' voice was low and anxious. I'm fine. Just out of town for a bit. What's wrong, Dennis? You sound worried. There was a deep sigh. Liv, it's absolute chaos here at the office. It's about Ethan. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it would jump out of my chest. This was it. Ethan. What about Ethan? Is he okay? I played the part of the concerned wife. That's the thing, Liv. Ethan, he's been suspended. What? Suspended? I feigned shock. How? Did he have some problems at work? He was supposed to get a promotion. Exactly. Dennis' voice dropped even lower, as if he was afraid of being overheard. The promotion is completely off the table. Liv, this is insane. Someone sent an anonymous email to all the directors. An anonymous email. Hat kind of email. The email, oh, Liv, this is so awkward to say. It had proof that Ethan faked his business trip to Seattle last week. They say he never went, that he was here in New York. Oh my God, I whispered. A-N-D, and there was a photo in the email. They say Ethan's secretly married. Chloe. I was silent. I let the silence be my answer. Liv, are you still there? Yes, Dennis. I'm in shock. I don't know what to say, I said, forcing my voice to tremble. I can imagine. Management is furious. It's not about his marriage, Liv. Honestly, the office doesn't care about personal lives, but it's the fact that he lied about the business trip. He defrauded the company. He's a finance guy. Liv, integrity is everything. He's finished. And what's going to happen to him? Now, Dennis, he's suspended indefinitely. There's a major internal investigation. They're auditing all his expense reports. I think they're going to fire him. Liv, there's no way they can keep him. It's a huge embarrassment for the company. Fired. The word sounded so final. Dennis, I don't know what to say. To be honest, Ethan and I are in the process of separating. This is very difficult for me. Oh my God, Liv, I'm so sorry. Really, hang in there. I just wanted to let you know. I was worried you didn't know anything. If you ever want to talk, my wife and I are always here for you. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you for the information. I hung up. I sat on the hard library chair. People around me were busy reading, typing. They didn't know I had just dropped a nuclear bomb on someone's life. Second attack. Direct hit. I had taken his money, and now I had taken his job. Ethan had nothing left. I didn't feel happy or victorious. I felt empty. But I also felt powerful. I stood up, returned the book one was pretending to read, and walked out of the library. 2 attacks completed. Now all that was left was to wait for Chloe to fall. A few days had passed since I learned about Ethan's suspension. I imagined the chaos in his office, his name becoming gossip, his pale face during the internal investigation that was uncovering all his lies. My first victory. But the feeling wasn't happiness or pure satisfaction, it was devastation. I had destroyed the career of the man I once loved, the man who had once promised to grow old with me. To destroy what you once built together, even if he betrayed you, still leaves scars. I sat on the cold floor of my new an apartment, sipping instant coffee that tasted like sludge. My anger at Ethan had faded, replaced by exhaustion. He was the past, but there was still Chloe. If my anger at Ethan was a storm that exploded, my anger at Chloe was a slow-acting poison, creating from within. A husband's betrayal is painful, but a best friend's betrayal shatters your faith in people. I remembered all those evenings I cried on her shoulder. Chloe, I feel like Ethan has been acting strange lately. I had said about 4 months ago, as we were doing face masks in her condo. She rubbed my back. Strange, Liv, you're probably just imagining things. He's so busy, trying to get that promotion. I don't know. He's working late so often, and at home he's always on his phone, smiling to himself like he's hiding something. Now, I knew he wasn't just on his phone. He was probably exchanging sweet messages with Chloe, who was sitting right next to me. Olivia, Chloe had said then, looking at me, with the sincere eyes I now hated. You're too good of a wife, too suspicious. Ethan adores you. I guarantee it 100%. Don't think about bad things, or you'll jinx it. She had reassured me, convinced me I was going crazy, while she was the cause of my madness. She saw my suffering, listened to my complaints about her own lover, and knew exactly what was happening because she was what was happening. She wasn't just a mistress, she was a predator disguised as a friend. And I remembered something else, her business, Chloe Davis Events. That business was everything to Chloe. She was a social climber, desperate to build her image. She had ingratiated herself with the wives of officials and businessmen, getting clients from them. She cherished her image as a successful, independent businesswoman. On whose money did she build that business? Mine. The money from our savings for our dream condo, advances for project, full payment for automobile. She hadn't just stolen my husband, she had built her palace on the ruins of my marriage, using the bricks I had provided. A cold anger flared up again. I would not let her get away with it. Ethan lost his job. Chloe had to lose her image. I knew exactly where to strike, their circle of socialites. I remembered one name Chloe often mentioned with reverence, Eleanor Vance. Eleanor was the wife of a real estate tycoon, and the unofficial queen of gossip in their circle. What she said was law. Her clique was the center of information. Chloe had desperately tried to curry favor with Eleanor to get into that circle. And I knew Eleanor hated mistresses. She had once posted a long rant on her Instagram stories about karma for women who steal husbands after one of her friends got divorced. Perfect. I wouldn't use an anonymous email like with Ethan. That was too corporate. For Chloe, I needed a more personal, dramatic approach. I went to another public library, used their free Wi-Fi, and created a new fake Instagram account. I named it Shattered_Olivia, sad, to evoke sympathy. For the profile picture, I used a photo of a wilted sunflower, the flower I had dreamed of planting on our balcony. Then I got to work. I uploaded one photo, a collage. On the left, a photo from my wedding to Ethan, we're smiling happily, Chloe standing next to me as my maid of honor, hugging me tightly. On the right, a photo of their marriage certificate from Frank Miller. Ethan and Chloe smiling at the camera, holding the document. Below, I added a screenshot from my mobile banking app, a transfer of $60,000 to Chloe Davis account, with the note, full payment for automobile. I censored only part of my account number. Chloe's name was clearly visible. Then I wrote the caption, from the heart, as if I were a broken woman in need of help. To all my friends, you might know me as Olivia, Ethan's wife and the friend of Chloe Davis, owner of Chloe Davis Events. For the last 6 months, I have been living a lie. My husband, who supposedly flew to Seattle on a business trip, never actually went anywhere. He was hiding in New York to secretly marry my best friend. While I was taking care of my sick mother, they were enjoying themselves. When I caught them, they admitted they had gotten married. This marriage took place the day after my wedding anniversary. But what hurts even more is that they built their new life on my money, on the savings for our Dr. condo, money I earned with my own sweat. They used it to buy a new car for Chloe, to pay off her mortgage. Here's the proof. My friend, the owner of Chloe Davis Events, who always seemed so independent and successful, turned out to be a thief. She stole not only my husband Boo, T also my money. I don't know what to do. I am broken. I just want justice. Please don't let other women become victims. I reread the caption. Perfect, sad, but full of deadly facts. Final step. I found Eleanor Vance's Instagram account, public, tens of thousands of followers, the accounts of other high society wives from Chloe's stories, all members of their socialite circle, and Chloe's business account, at Chloe's Vents. I hit post. After the photo uploaded, I went to the comments under Eleanor Vance's latest post, a photo of her holding a new handbag, and wrote, at Eleanor Vance, please help me. I am a victim of a mistress, my own friend. She is in your social circle. Please look at my post. I need justice. I did the same on 2 or 3 other socialites' accounts. Then I logged out, turned off the computer, and went home. I deliberately didn't check the account for 24 hours, let the fire spread on its own. I tried to work, forced myself to focus on revising a design, but my heart was pounding wildly. The next day, I returned to the library and logged into my fake Instagram account. My eyes widened, notifications had exploded, hundreds of likes, thousands of shares, hundreds of comments. Is this that Chloe Davis events that organizes luxury weddings? Insane. She seems so proper. Wow, modern mistresses have no shame, stealing from their best friend. I'm her client. My wedding is next week. Oh my god, cancel. Cancel. What do I do? How cruel, stole her husband and her money. Is she that broke? Then I saw what I was looking for. Eleanor Vance had commented on my post, at @shattered_Olivia. My god, I know this girl. I did not expect this. Such a vile act. To steal a husband from your best friend and rob her is unforgivable. Olivia, I wish you strength. Karma exists. Eleanor Vance's comment was the seal of approval. Then I checked her stories. She had screenshotted my post and written in large red capital letters, a lesson for all women. Never trust two-faced snakes who pretend to be friends. I am personally blacklisting this person and her business. Disgusting. The fire had spread. I checked the Chloe Davis events account. It was gone. She had deactivated it. Too late. Screenshots were already everywhere. I smiled a cold smile. That night, my old phone, which I kept and only turned on occasionally to check family messages on Wi-Fi, vibrated. A WhatsApp message from Sarah, Dennis' wife. Olivia, my god, where are you? Are you okay? I just heard the whole story. I can't believe it. Chloe, I'm okay. Sarah, getting back on my feet, I replied briefly. Olivia, it's just madness. The wives' work chat, my socialite chat. I'm in the same group as Eleanor Vance. It's such a frenzy. That Instagram post, was it really from you? It's true, I replied. My god, Olivia, Chloe is completely destroyed. All her clients from our circle have canceled their contracts, they're demanding their deposits back. Eleanor immediately removed her from all the chats. She's being attacked in all the WhatsApp groups, called a thief and a mistress. Her business is finished. Olivia, finished. I read the message, her business is finished. I turned off my old phone. Third attack, successful. Ethan had no job. Chloe had no business, no reputation. They both had nothing, only each other and a mountain of debt. I wondered how long their secret love would last without money and social status. I walked to the window of my garden apartment. A full moon was shining outside. I didn't feel victorious or happy. I felt that justice had been served. Justice had finally come. And now I was ready to face them. I knew sooner or later they would find me. My new life in the small garden apartment began to fall into a rhythm. I would wake up, make coffee, and immediately sit down to work at my laptop. I took on freelance design projects. The money wasn't much, but it was enough for rent and instant noodles. Nearly 3 weeks had passed since I had dropped the bomb on Chloe's life. After Sra's message, I hadn't heard anything else. Their world, Ethan and Chloe's, seemed so distant. I had cut off all contact. My new phone only had the numbers of Evelyn Reed, a few clients, and my landlord. The anger that had once burned like a fire had turned to cold ash. I no longer felt that piercing pain. Every time I thought of them, only a deep exhaustion and a desire to get it all over with. I was focused on revising a logo when my new phone rang, my sister Jessica's number. My heart skipped a beat. This was strange. Jessica didn't have my new number. I had only given it to Evelyn Reed. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. Hello, Jessica. Olivia. Oh my god, I finally reached you. Jessica's voice was panicked and angry. What's wrong, Jess? What's wrong? She interrupted. Where are you? I know you changed your number. I begged your lawyer for it. I told her it was a family emergency. She gave me this number. I was surprised. Yes, after I insisted. Olivia, you have gone too far. I was confused. Too far? Jessica, what are you talking about? You have ruined Ethan and Chloe's lives. Do you realize what you've done? My blood ran cold. How did you know? Just now, Ethan and Chloe were here at Mom's house. Jessica continued, her voice trembling with emotion. They came over. My god, Olivia, they looked terrible. I was silent. Ethan was fired. Olivia, fired. He said you spread slander at his office, and Chloe's business has gone bankrupt. She was sobbing, saying you spread vicious gossip on Instagram. Is this what you're doing, Olivia? I didn't answer. Olivia, answer me. It wasn't slander, Jessica. I finally said, my voice even. It was the truth. They got married behind my back. They stole my money. But Olivia, they admitted they were wrong. They apologized. You didn't have to be so cruel. They looked so pathetic. Olivia, Chloe, she's pregnant. My heart seemed to stop. Pregnant? Chloe was pregnant. Ethan's child. Pregnant? I whispered. Yes, pregnant, 3 months along. Jessica's voice softened. She was crying so hard. Said she just wanted to apologize to you, peacefully, wanted you to drop the lawsuit. They have no money at all. They got evicted from Chloe's condo because they couldn't pay. It's pitiful, Olivia. There's an innocent baby in her womb. 3 months. I counted back. So when I caught them in that house, she was already pregnant. When she stood on the stairs in that negligee, she was carrying my husband's child under her heart. A nausea stronger than the one I felt that night rose in my throat. What did they ask you for, Jessica? I asked, my voice barely audible. There was a heavy sigh from Jessica. Hey, asked for your address. They just want to talk, Olivia, settle things peacefully. I feel sorry for them. Did you give it to them? I interrupted, my voice rising. Did you give them the address of this apartment? Olivia, listen first. Did you give it to them? They just wanted, Jessica. I screamed. You know nothing. You don't know what they did to me. How could you give them my address? But I feel sorry for them, Olivia. They were on their knees in front of me. For the sake of that baby, you should have some conscience. I hung up. I was trembling violently. She gave them my address. My own sister, whom I had tried to protect from this drama, had taken their side, out of pity for a baby. I locked the door of my garden apartment, closed the windows, and drew the curtains. I knew they would come. I sat on a chair, staring at the door, waiting. An hour passed. My heart pounded with every sound from the alley outside. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Then a knock. Quiet, hesitant. Knock. Knock. I didn't move. Knock, knock, knock. Olivia, Ethan's voice was defeated. Oh, Olivia, I know you're in there. Jessica told us. We just want to talk. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. Anger, pain, disgust, they all swirled together. I stood up, walked to the door, and didn't look through the peephole. I unlocked the deadbolt and opened it. Standing before me were the two people who had once been my world. They looked broken. The Ethan I knew was neat, charismatic, smelling of expensive cologne. The man in front of me was haggard. His hair was overgrown and unkempt, his face covered in stubble, wearing a faded t-shirt and dirty jeans. His eyes, once sharp, were now empty and desperate. And Chloe looked even worse. No makeup, her face pale and swollen, her hair carelessly tied back in a ponytail, wearing a worn-out housecoat. Under the coat, her belly was clearly visible, a small bump, the physical proof of their betrayal. As soon as she saw me, Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Olivia, she whispered, then did something unexpected. She collapsed to her knees on the dirty concrete floor of my walkway, bowed her head, and sobbed. Olivia, forgive me. I beg you. Her hands reached for my legs, but I took a step back. I was wrong, Olivia. I know what I did was horrible. I'm a monster. I admit my guilt. But please, Olivia, please. She cried hysterically, her shoulders shaking. Get up, I said in a cold voice. No, Olivia, I won't get up until you forgive me. Get up, I repeated more sharply. You're disgusting. My words made her flinch. She looked up at me with wet eyes. Ethan, who had been standing like a statue, finally moved. He pulled Chloe up by her shoulders, forcing her to stand. Olivia, Ethan said in a heavy voice, we didn't come here to apologize or to ask for money. I interrupted. Ethan flinched as if slapped. My career is ruined, he said quietly, looking at me. That email, it was you, wasn't it? I neither confirmed nor denied, just stared at him. I was fired, Olivia. Fired. My name is destroyed. I'm blacklisted at every financial firm in the city. My life is over. And my business is bankrupt, Chloe added, sobbing and hiding behind Ethan. All my clients canceled their contracts. Everyone hates me. I have nothing left. Good, I said. That one word shocked them. They expected me to melt to pity them. Olivia, please. Ethan stepped forward. Okay, I'm guilty. I deserved it. I admit it. But Chloe, she's pregnant, he said, his voice softening, trying to appeal to my sympathy. She's carrying my child. I know, I said. Jessica already told me. Ethan looked at me with a flicker of hope. Then please, Olivia, for the sake of this baby, this innocent child, have pity. He's not to blame for anything. Chloe stroked her belly. We have no safety net. We don't have money to go to the doctor. We need that money you took. Ah, there it was. They hadn't come to apologize, they'd come for that $50,000. Please, Olivia, Ethan begged, drop the lawsuit for asset division. Let us have the remaining money. We just need it to start a new life for this baby. I stared at them for a long time. Ethan, the man who'd faked a business trip. Chloe, the woman who'd told me to be patient while she slept with my husband. Her belly, holding a child conceived in my tears. They were asking me to pity this child. Where was their pity when they planned all this? Where was their conscience when they spent my $200,000? That child, I finally said, my voice calm but deadly, was conceived when you were both knowingly stabbing me in the back. So don't you dare use that child as a shield. Their faces paled. Our past, Ethan tried again, desperate. You loved me once. Live, for the sake of all our beautiful memories. I laughed a cold, empty laugh. You burned our beautiful memories to the ground on May the 15th, when you married her the day after our anniversary. Ethan fell silent. He had nothing to say. I'm guilty, Olivia. I'm guilty, Chloe suddenly screamed hysterically. She rushed forward, trying to grab my knees again. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. I promise. But please have mercy on this child. I stepped back. Don't touch me. My emotions finally erupted. You come here to my cramped home, after you stole over $200,000 from me, after you lied to me for months, after my husband got fired for his own lies, and my friend went bankrupt for her own actions. You come here carrying a child conceived in adultery and ask me for pity. I screamed in their faces. Where was your pity when I was crying on your shoulder, Chloe? Where was your conscience, Ethan? When you told me, I love you, before your fake business trip? They both trembled. They'd never seen me this angry. You have nothing, I said. Good. Welcome to my world 3 weeks ago. The difference is I was broken because of your actions, and you are broken because of your own. Olivia, please, Ethan whispered, looking like an old man who'd lost a war. I looked at them, an unemployed man and a pregnant, bankrupt woman. Listen carefully, I said. The divorce petition stands. The lawsuit for asset division stands. I will demand every dollar you stole from me. That $50,000 won't even cover my losses. I will take that condo, sell it, and take my share. But where will we live? Chloe wailed. That, I said, stepping back into my apartment, is no longer my problem. I looked into Ethan's eyes, the eyes I once adored. Enjoy your secret marriage. Slam. I slammed the door right in their faces, locked the deadbolt, and slid the chain. From behind the door, I heard Chloe's hysterical sobs. No, it can't be. Olivia, open the door. Olivia. Then Ethan's voice, yelling in desperation. Olivia, you'll regret this. You're a monster. I leaned against the door, listening as they pounded for a few minutes. The sounds gradually faded, Chloe's cries mixed with Ethan's scolding, then silence. They were gone. I stood there, not crying, not trembling. I felt light. The final burden had fallen from my shoulders. I had faced my demons, and I had won. I went to the kitchen and made myself a cup of hot tea. For the first time in weeks, I felt at peace. The courtroom was cold, not from the air conditioning, but from a chill that seeped into your bones. The walls were dull cream, and the smell of old wood varnish mixed with faint disinfectant. I sat straight on a hard wooden bench next to Evelyn Reed, my lawyer, who was as calm as an ice statue, methodically arranging documents in a severe dark gray suit, her hair in a neat bun. She was my shield and my sword. Across the room sat Ethan and Chloe. If they'd looked pathetic at my apartment 3 weeks ago, today they were a tragedy. Ethan wore a shirt that was too big, probably borrowed, his face gray with dark circles, like he hadn't slept in days. Chloe had tried thick makeup to hide our puffy, pale face, a loose maternity dress that couldn't conceal her now prominent belly. She sat slumped, constantly stroking her stomach as if it were her only protection. Next to them sat a young, nervous lawyer who kept wiping sweat from his forehead. Evelyn Reed glanced at them briefly, then whispered without turning, "They're going to play the pregnancy card. Don't react. Look straight at the judge. Show no emotion. Today you are ice." I nodded. My heart pounded, but on the outside, I was a fortress. "All rise," the bailiff announced. We stood as a stern, Middle-aged judge in thick-rimmed glasses entered and took her seat. We are hearing the case for the dissolution of marriage number 743 between petitioner Olivia Miller and respondent Ethan Miller. Are both parties present? Petitioner is present, Your Honor, Evelyn Reed said clearly. Respondent is present, Your Honor, the young lawyer replied, his voice trembling. Very well, the judge said. Mediation has been deemed unsuccessful. We will proceed to the presentation of evidence and claims. She turned to Ethan's lawyer. The respondent objects to the divorce petition and is filing a counterclaim for asset division. Is that correct? That is correct, Your Honor, the lawyer said, mustering courage. My client objects to the divorce, and if divorce is unavoidable, my client demands a fair division of marital property. We also object to the petitioner's actions of unilaterally freezing and transferring funds from the joint account. Evelyn Reed took notes silently as the lawyer continued, Your Honor, it is my client, Ethan Miller, who is the victim here. I flinched. Victim. Evelyn Reed placed a hand on my arm, urging calm. It was the petitioner, Olivia Miller, the lawyer went on, growing more confident, who acted in bad faith. The petitioner was having an affair. There it was, exactly as Evelyn had predicted. Objection, Your Honor, Evelyn's voice boomed. This is a baseless accusation. Objection sustained. Counsel for the respondent, proceed with evidence, not speculation, the judge said. Yes, Your Honor. The evidence is that the petitioner often returned home late without valid reasons. The petitioner had a secret personal account her husband did not know about, clear indication of her intention to leave. And most importantly, Your Honor, on the night my client W. as accused of infidelity, the petitioner did not return home, she checked into a motel. He paused, letting the word hang. The Aquino Lodge, a cheap, by-the-hour motel. Why would a respectable wife check into such a place alone in the middle of the night if not to meet someone? Ethan looked at me with pure hatred. He actually believed his own lie. Therefore, Your Honor, the lawyer concluded, we are certain that it was the petitioner who was cheating. She invented a story about my client to cover her own actions, and then stole all the money from the Joe into account to run away with her lover. A murmur went through the courtroom. The judge looked at me. I met her gaze, direct and unwavering. I am ice. Does the petitioner have a response? The judge asked. Evelyn Reed stood and walked slowly to the center. Thank you, Your Honor. A very creative story, but unfortunately we are here to discuss facts, not fiction. She held up the first folder. Your Honor, the respondent accuses my client of having a secret account as proof of infidelity. We present Exhibit P1, a statement from my client's salary account, opened long before her marriage. Since when is a working woman having her own payroll account evidence of an affair? She placed the document on the clerk's desk. Second, the respondent accuses my client of checking into the Aquino Lodge to meet a lover, a truly vile accusation. Evelyn turned to me. Your Honor, I call the petitioner, Olivia Miller, to the stand. My heart nearly leapt out of my chest. I walked to the witness stand, swore the oath, and faced Evelyn. Miss Miller, can you tell the court truthfully what happened on the night of October the 17th? I took a breath and told them everything, my sick mother, the late night drive back, my car breaking down on the highway in torrential rain, walking to Chloe's house for help, and what I saw. I knocked on the door, I said, my voice trembling slightly but steady. My husband, Anne, opened it. A hush fell over the courtroom. What was he wearing? Evelyn asked. He was shirtless, only wearing pajama pants I had bought for him. And what else did you see? I looked directly at the judge. I saw my friend Chloe Davis standing on the stairs behind my husband. She was wearing only a negligee. Chloe let out a loud sob. Lies. It's all lies. Quiet, the judge snapped. Witness, continue. My husband then said, he said we eloped 6 months ago. How did you feel at that moment, Miss Miller? I was shattered, cold, in shock. I ran. I didn't know where to go. Couldn't go home, couldn't go to my mom's. I ran and found that motel. I just needed a safe place to lock the door. I just wanted to cry. A single tear rolled down my cheek. I quickly wiped it away. Thank you, Miss Miller. You may be seated. I returned to my bench, hands shaking violently. Evelyn returned to the center. So, Your Honor, the Aquino Lodge was not a place for an affair. It was a refuge, a place where a wife whose heart had just been shattered could hide. And now, she continued, her tone sharp, let's talk about the real lies. She held up a second folder. Exhibit P2, a document from the respondent's employer. Ethan Miller took leave for a business trip to Seattle from October the 15th to 22nd. She held up a third folder. Exhibit P3, a report from immigration and passenger lists of all flights to Seattle. On October the 15th and 16th, Ethan Miller's name is not on them. Ethan's lawyer jumped up. Objection, Your Honor. This document is authentic and legally obtained. Your Honor, Evelyn interrupted. So where did Mr. Miller go? She held up a fourth folder. Exhibit P4, security camera footage from the lobby of a 5-star hotel in Manhattan on October the 15th, showing Mr. Miller checking in alone. This hotel is not in Seattle. And where did he go after that? To the condo of Chloe Davis, the very same place where my client caught them. That's slander, Chloe yelled, jumping to her feet, her belly pushing forward. We were truly married. It's not a sin. Sit down, madam, the judge barked. Oh, so you admit you were married? Evelyn immediately pressed. What a coincidence. She held up a fifth folder. Exhibit P5, a copy of a marriage certificate in the names of Ethan Miller and Chloe Davis. She looked at Ethan. Do you know the date of this marriage, Mr. Miller? Ethan was silent, frozen. Let me help you, Evelyn said. May the 15th, the day after your third wedding anniversary with my client, Olivia Miller. A juror gasped. The judge looked at Ethan coldly. Respondent, is this true? Ethan couldn't speak. And now, Evelyn said, her voice like a hammer blow. Let's talk about the money. She held up the thickest stack of documents. The respondent accuses my client of stealing $50,000. In reality, my client was saving the remnants of their joint assets. Why? Here's the proof, Your Honor. Exhibit P6, a statement from the joint account for the last 6 months, showing withdrawals and transfers totaling over $200,000 by the respondent. Where did this money go? To an account in the name of Chloe Davis, payment descriptions, advance for project, full payment for automobile, payment to suppliers. She turned to Chloe. You own an event planning agency, Miss Davis, a business funded by my client's savings for her dream condo. Chloe sobbed hysterically as her lawyer tried to calm her. So, Your Honor, Evelyn concluded, what we have here is planned infidelity, a secret marriage, business trip fraud, and the embezzlement of joint funds totaling over $200,000. Their counterclaim is garbage, a desperate attempt to slander the victim. We demand, first, that the marriage be dissolved today, second, that the marital property, the condo, be fully transferred to my client as compensation for the stolen $200,000. And third, that the respondent and his mistress, Chloe Davis, be found liable for their wrongful actions. Silence reigned. Ethan's lawyer sat slumped to say. Ethan looked at me, pleading. Olivia, don't. For my child's sake, he whispered, audible in the quiet. The judge banged her gavel. The court is in recess. They left for deliberation. It felt like an eternity. 10 minutes later, they returned. We stood. The court rules as follows, the judge said, clearing her throat. Having reviewed all evidence and heard testimony, 1. The petition for dissolution of marriage from Olivia Miller is granted. The marriage is dissolved as of today. 2. The respondent, Ethan Miller, is found at fault for marital infidelity and mismanagement of joint property. 3. All counterclaims from the respondent are dismissed as unproven. 4. The court establishes that the sum of over $200,000 transferred by the respondent to Chloe Davis constitutes a personal debt of the respondent to the petitioner. 5. The court orders the marital property, the condo at address, to be seized and sold at auction. The proceeds, after deducting the respondent's debt, are to be divided. Effectively, the entire sum from the condo sale goes to the petitioner to satisfy the debt. 6. The court establishes that the remaining $50,000 secured by the petitioner is her legal property. Bang, bang, bang. The gavel struck 3 times. It was over. I had won, completely. No? Chloe screamed, standing unsteadily. Where will we live? What about the baby? This isn't fair. Ethan pulled her down. Stop it, Chloe. Stop it. We lost. Olivia. Chloe screamed at me, eyes wild. You're a monster. You've ruined my child's life. Bailiffs, remove them, the judge ordered. 2 court officers approached. I stood as Evelyn gathered her documents. Congratulations, Olivia, she said with a small smile. You're free. I nodded, unable to speak. We walked out of the courtroom. As I passed the door, I saw Ethan slumped in his chair, head in his hands, and Chloe sobbing on her lawyer's shoulder. I kept walking, didn't look back. The air outside the courthouse felt different, warmer, lighter, as if a gray filter had been lifted from my eyes. I took a deep breath, my first free breath. Evelyn handed me a certified copy of the judgment. Hold on to this. It's your Declaration of Independence. It felt heavy. Are then gold, proof I'd walked through hell and survived. As for the condo sale, she said, reverting to business, my team will handle the auction. It could take a few months. We'll wire proceeds to your new account. Open a clean one right away. What about the $200,000? I asked. Evelyn smiled faintly. Legally, it's their debt, but realistically, they're unemployed and bankrupt. They'll likely never repay it. But this judgment matters. If they ever acquire assets, we can seize them. Consider the condo money your clean victory. I nodded. The money was gone, but justice had been served. Thank you, Miss Reed. You saved me. No, Olivia, she said, shaking my hand firmly. You saved yourself. You're strong. Now go live. I watched her leave in a cab, then walked aimlessly, just wanted to feel my feet on the ground as a free woman. I stopped at a small flower shop. In front were pots of sunflowers, the flowers of my old dream. I went inside. A sunflower, I said, buying one small pot. I held it too, my chest all the way home. That night, I sat on the floor of my garden apartment for the last time. This cramped place had been my bunker during the war. Now it felt stifling. I placed the sunflower on the table, took out the divorce decree, and read it again. Olivia Miller, divorce. No, I was Olivia Miller, a whole woman. I felt no ecstatic joy, just deep, quiet relief, like a calm lake after a storm. The old Olivia was dead. She died that rainy night at closed door. The new Olivia was harder, colder, but stronger, forged in the fire of betrayal. I knew what to do. I opened my laptop, drafted a message to my regular clients. I was closing my freelance business, starting a new branding and design firm. I hit send, no hesitation. I needed a fresh start. I grabbed a notebook, Olivia Creative Solstice Design. I sketched logos, creative fire lit again, not from necessity, but passion. The condo money would be startup capital, a small studio, a team, a name I built myself. I'd never depend on anyone again. Next, housing. I searched for a studio on a high floor, with big windows and a small balcony, enough for me and my sunflower. I found the perfect one in a new neighborhood. No memories of Ethan or Chloe. I messaged the agent to view it tomorrow. Finally, phones. I took out my old phone, kept in a drawer, and turned it on. Dozens of messages from Jessica, apologizing and worried. I called her from my new phone. Court is over. I won. I'm divorced. Silence. I'm sorry about giving them your address, Jessica said. I'm disappointed, I replied, calm but tired. You pitied them more than your own sister. You don't know what they did to me. I just felt sorry for the baby. That baby isn't my concern. And from now on, they aren't yours either. They manipulated you, just like me. I heard her sob. I forgive you, but I need time. I'm changing my number, moving. When I'm ready, I'll contact you and Mom. Until then, please don't look for me. I hung up. Before she could argue, I broke the SIM cards from both phones, put the devices in a plastic bag, and threw them away on a pedestrian bridge. Threw away Ethan, Chloe, the old Olivia. Tomorrow, I'd buy a new phone, a new number. Back at the apartment, I stood by the window, looking at the sunflower. I didn't need to block their numbers anymore. They no longer existed in my world. I was alone. And for the first time in my life, being alone felt peaceful, strong. I hope this story sparks your interest in social issues. If it moved you, please give it a like, leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Let's spread positive energy and protect the light together.